Negotiations to end Russia's war against Ukraine are on the way. U.S. President Donald Trump admits that so far, not so good. Russia is craving war. From Russia with hate, 30 missiles and 650 drones across hitting 13 regions of Ukraine has a horrible Christmas terror gift, killing 3, including 4-year-old child. A plant in Belarus to produce artillery and rocket ammunition for the Russian army. Look deeper in our story. Negotiations to end Russia's war against Ukraine are on the way, U.S. President Donald Trump said during a speech at the White House. He stated that the dialogue between the parties is going relatively well, but the situation remains uncertain.
Talks in Ukraine, Russia are going along. They lost, as you know, 27,000 soldiers last month, mostly soldiers, some people in Kiev, etc., but mostly soldiers. And the talks are going along. And I say that, there's tremendous hatred between these two leaders, between President Putin, President Zelenskyy, tremendous hatred. And I hope we can get it done. We are talking. Talks are going okay.
Kremlin Press Secretary Peskov stated that he did not know exactly what U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance was referring to when speaking about a breakthrough in negotiations with Ukraine. He added that he was unaware of the content of those statements. He noted that such a complex negotiations unlikely could be resolved in public. Putin has no interest in ending Russia's war against Ukraine. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius stated this in an interview with Die Zeit. According to him, the efforts of the United States, Europe, and Ukraine have not yet influenced the Russian dictator's actions. Pistorius also highlighted the importance of recent talks in Berlin, where Europe coordinated its stance with the U.S. and Ukraine. Furthermore, the minister noted that it is too early to discuss sending German troops to Ukraine, as the Russian dictator is not even ready for a ceasefire.
The only person who could stop the war immediately is Putin. Despite the efforts of Americans, Europeans, and Ukrainians to achieve a ceasefire, there are no signs from Moscow that Putin is interested in ending the war. For now, questions about how peace can be secured remain hypothetical speculation, as Putin is not even ready for a ceasefire. Boris Pistorius, German Minister of Defense, in an interview with Die Zeit.
Russia is attempting to block Ukraine's access to maritime logistics, which is why the international community must increase pressure on Russia, said President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. According to the President of Ukraine, everyone must understand that without pressuring Russia, ending of this war is impossible.
Pressure must increase. Therefore, even though it is Christmas week and political activity usually slows down around the world, we will remain in contact with partners who can help us protect our state, our people, our energy sector, and our resilience, with everyone working to put pressure on Russia, and with everyone making the end of the war a reality.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte called to continue support for Kyiv and an increase in defense spending by alliance member states. He stated that Ukraine must remain strong to prevent a potential new Russian attack. Rutte also emphasized the importance of implementing the decision to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2035. Rutte warned that if NATO countries do not accelerate their arms buildup, the situation could become dangerous starting from 2027.
If we do these two things, we will be strong enough to defend ourselves, and Putin will never try to do it. According to various intelligence assessments, the situation could otherwise become dangerous, starting in 2027, 2029, or 2031. Furthermore, Russia's war against Ukraine shows that Putin is prepared to sacrifice 1.1 million people. What Germany is doing now is truly impressive. Nothing will work without Germany. It must demonstrate its leading role to others, and it is doing just that. Mark Rutte, NATO Secretary General, in an interview with the DPA agency.
And what for some in Europe is only expected to become dangerous only in 2027, it is already death and destruction for us in Ukraine. Russia hammered Ukraine with missiles and drones in a new air raid on Tuesday, this morning, killing at least 3 people, including a child, and triggering emergency power cuts across the country as Ukrainians gear up to celebrate Christmas. Moscow's latest combined strike hit energy facilities in western regions the hardest, said Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko, and it also came days after another round of U.S.-led peace talks to end the nearly 4-year-old war. Ukraine's grid operator said most of country's regions were experiencing emergency power outages as a result of the attack. Critical and energy infrastructure was damaged in the northern Chernihiv, western Lviv, and southern Odessa regions. Tuesday's attack killed 3, including a 4-year-old in the central Zhytomyr region, and 1 person outside Kyiv. At least 5 were also wounded. Nothing new. Russia is Russia, a terrorist country, and it was sending more than 30 missiles and 650 drones across at least 13 regions of Ukraine. As a Christmas terror gift to all the people of Ukraine, as yet another grim reminder who Ukraine is fighting against, and what Europe should get ready for.
Ukraine must maintain its leadership in Europe in terms of quality and volume of weapons production. We must secure another historic result for Ukraine, organizing the actual production of air defense systems and missiles, either within Ukraine or together with our key neighbors. This is what will change the balance of power in our region. It is an incredibly difficult task, a strategic task. For the sake of Ukraine, it must be done. Everything now depends on the technical capabilities of our specialists and how quickly they can achieve this. However, air defense systems are not created overnight. We are close to reaching the relevant results.
Oland, a NATO member bordering western Ukraine, scrambled Allied aircraft to protect Polish airspace. Obviously, what is going on? Moscow has stepped up strikes on Ukrainian energy and logistics to boost pressure on Kyiv as it seeks to soften the terms of a US-backed deal that could involve what some, like Reuters, for example, call painful concessions. The one who uses these absurd terms, like painful concessions, is probably thinking painful for Putin, for his ill imperial ambitions, involving having any part of Ukraine he likes, and part of Europe, or any part of the US maybe just a bit later? Why not for Putin to take all he wants, then? And then North Korea and China and Iran just might gladly join the alliance of evil de jure, as de facto they already did. Again, why not? When those good guys in Europe can only express their deep concerns in UN, even allowing Russia to preside over UN Security Council, and they just keep on investing in speechwriters rather than missiles. It might sound absurd today, but remember 4 years ago, all the experts, all of them, in one voice, were laughing at those who said, Russia will invade Ukraine. No, said experts, Putin wouldn't dare. It would not happen ever. And then it just did happen. And here we are, calling painful concession what does not belong to Putin in the first place according to any international law. There are no concessions for him in Ukraine, because Ukraine is invaded, and all Putin's painful concessions, here in Ukraine or elsewhere in the world, for that matters, are born exactly when somebody, anybody, says no to him. That no is indeed a painful concession for such an obsolete Soviet narcissist as Vladimir Putin. And if you still think appeasing the Russian invader by calling his imperial aggression painful concessions of letting go on Ukrainian land, which he did not even capture, try to imagine how painful is to those parents in Ukraine a murder of a 4-year-old child, whom Vladimir Putin murdered in cold blood this morning. And he will murder more, no doubt, if you let him.
In early 2026, a new NATO logistics hub will open in Romania, writes Defense Romania. It will work in tandem with the center in Polish Rzeszów. The new hub will help optimize the supply scheme for the armed forces of Ukraine and speed up the delivery of weapons, equipment, and ammunition. According to NATO data, in 2025, under the Ukraine Security and Training Initiative, partners sent Kyiv about 220,000 tons of military aid. This involved approximately 9,000 trucks and 1,800 railway cars.
The creation of this new entry point is aimed not only at ensuring a reserve flow, but also at strengthening the logistical resilience of the entire eastern flank. By activating a new logistics hub on Romanian territory, NATO doubles the transit capacity of military assistance, while the Pearl mechanism, paid for by Europeans, delivered by Americans, guarantees the continuity of arms supplies under the Trump administration, from a publication by Defense Romania.
In addition to supplying military aid to Kyiv, a number of European countries are ready to consider sending their armed forces to Ukraine to maintain peace and in case Russia violates a potential peace agreement, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte reported. According to him, the details of such participation format are already at the coordination stage. At the same time, Rutte noted that 3 levels of security guarantees have been formed for Ukraine today, which should ensure the deterrence of Russia.
There are 3 levels here. The first is the Ukrainian armed forces. They must be in excellent condition. The second level is the coalition of the willing, led by France and the United Kingdom, with participation from Germany and other countries. This coalition will provide everything necessary to ensure that Putin dares not try something like this again. And the third level is the United States. The American president said in August that he wants to participate, and now we are working on combining all 3 elements.
Against the backdrop of a direct threat from Russia, European countries are strengthening their own military-industrial potential. France is launching a large-scale military program, announced President Emmanuel Macron. The key element of the project is the construction of a new generation aircraft carrier. It is to replace the current Charles de Gaulle. According to the bill, the ship is scheduled to enter service in 2038. Several industrial companies are involved in the program implementation.
In a time where predators are rife, we need to resist, we need to show our strength on land and at sea. And that is why, following the 2 previous military budgets and having looked into the finest details of those budgets, we have made a decision to give France yet another aircraft carrier. With the vast budget that is needed, we have made key decisions just this week.
Strengthening the European defense industrial complex, increasing military aid to Kyiv, and overall consolidation of allies is no longer a matter of choice but a necessity.
That is, all this needs to be accelerated, volumes increased. And then Russia, of course, will listen to Europe and react to it completely differently. Then Russia will understand that Europe, first, can independently make common and complex decisions and make them quickly. Second, that Europe can defend itself. That is, not just ready to say one thing and do something else. And third, Russia sees that Europe is united, right? That is, all these internal discussions remain behind closed doors. And after that, Europe comes out with a unified position, non-contradictory. They do not express different points of view.
European countries do not have much time to prepare for possible Russian aggression. According to information from the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, the Kremlin is ready to attack Europe as early as 2027. The first targets, according to the head of the GUR, Kirilo Budanov, could be Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. Reported by Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.
That's all for today's News Digest. If this report was useful, subscribe, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us keep telling the truth. See you next time.